Okay, as I said in part 1 of this video, Vivacious and Kelly Mantle are in the bottom 2. I predicted Kelly Mantle was going to go home, and I was right. They had a lip sync to Madonna's Express Yourself, and overall it was like the most underwhelming lip sync battle I have seen in a long time. You would think having two very seasoned queens, they'd be really turning it out, but it was very underwhelming. But Vivacious won, Kelly's gone. They'll probably bring her back. She's too talented not to bring back. So let's rewind and go back to my first impressions / predictions video, where I predicted that the first person going home was Jocelyn Fox. Wrong so far. And there's no way I could have predicted a dual season premiere with 7 queens in one group and 7 queens in another. Did not predict that, but I predicted Jocelyn Fox was first and Kelly Mantle's first. So I'm already wrong. But as you know, all the real action happens on Untucked. And we had a really good Untucked episode after the very first premiere of season 6. And I can already tell, just like in previous seasons, Untucked is going to be the goddamn show. Yes, Untucked, where all the unfiltered shade takes place and where all the queens let each other have it. There was also that Untucked opening trailer. It's like 1 minute and 33 seconds long, and they packed a whole lot of information in that 1 minute and 33 seconds. And I kept pausing and replaying and pausing and replaying just so I can present my findings. I took notes. Let's look them over, shall we? Okay. Oh my god, can I get a script, please? Okay, Darien Lake. You see 5 distinct looks from Darien Lake during that opening 1 minute and 33 second trailer for the Untucked. You see a long black hair sort of look where she's like pretending the pink box is mauling her arm. That was one look. There's a golden dress look with brown hair. That was the second look you noticed. A third look was a sequined green dress, and that's the one she's strutting down the runway with. So that's probably her first runway look. Okay, then you see a sparkly black dress, and she has a masquerade mask, and you see that in several clips, including one where there's like 4 queens hugging each other, and then at the very end when she's like, "Work, bitch!" And then there's also a black dress with a lot of circle embellishments, and she's wearing like red hair. So that's 5 distinct looks from Darien Lake. So it looks like she's going to make a pretty deep run like I predicted. Jocelyn Fox is surprising because I counted 3, maybe 4 looks from her, and so she's definitely not going home first like I predicted. One look was her runway look. It looked like she had like multicolored feathers in her hair with like a matching bouquet. And then there's another look where it's like a blue slutty dress with a lot of like cutouts and whatever, and she's like flinging both of her legs in the air. We're sitting on the couch. And then there's this like lavender prom dress looking thing with a severe updo that looks like Gia Gunn is like clocking, although Gia's probably talking about somebody else. Also, there's another moment where she's like crying, talking about feeling guilty that she's even there, and that looks like either another look or it's a close-up of her prom dress look. I can't tell. That's why it's 3 or maybe 4 looks. And then there's one where she's like gagging, and it's like a golden sparkly dress with brown hair. So that was another distinct look. So Jocelyn Fox actually survives a few challenges. Okay, and then you have Bianca Del Rio, and I only counted 3 distinct looks from Bianca. There's like this party dress look that she's on the runway with, and she's got like long dark hair. And then if you look really closely, she's wearing like a blue and green metallic outfit with a matching hat with like black spiky things on it. And she's like on the side when Darien Lake's pretending like her hand's getting eaten by the box. And you can see Bianca like doing the shadiest eye roll because she's like she's had it with that hamming it up queen or something. And then she has like a silver type dress with like an auburn wig. And she's talking about, you know, if she was going to come for you, she'd like sneak into your room at night and cut up all your wigs. So there's only 3 looks from Bianca, and I'm hoping they're just trying to throw us off because, I mean, I want her to go far because I love some Bianca Del Rio. Okay, Trinity Bonet in that little clip, I counted 4 distinct looks from her. One of them is like a Native American looking inspired outfit with like you know, the Cher Native American feathers hanging from her headpiece. And she's got like really cool eye makeup, and she's like talking about her physical health being affected by all the stress. And then she also has that awesome like geisha look with the white makeup face and the tiara and the jewels, and it looks like it's her first runway look, and it's really cool. A purple dress with long wavy brown hair and her necklaces, and she's talking about, you know, drag to her is, you know, big boobs and heavy makeup, and that's what drag is to her. And I think she's trying to clock people like Courtney that look more natural, like that actually look like girls. And then her fourth look, it looked like during the moment where the four queens are hugging it out, she's wearing like a silver dress with like neon green embellishments, and it looked like Courtney Act is hugging her from behind. So that's like 4 distinct looks from Trinity. So it looks like she survives a few challenges as well. Okay, Milk, I counted 3 distinct looks from Milk. The first one is like apparently his first runway look, where it looks like he's dressed in like, it looked like a ghost, like just all white, and he's got like a white hat with like daisies on it, and it looks like big clear trash bags covering the rest of him. He looked like a freaking alien / ghost thing, but that's one look I counted. And then there's the moment when I was talking about earlier when Jocelyn Fox is like flinging her legs in the air. There's Milk right next to her wearing like a light blue mermaid looking dress with a big white bow. And then towards the end of the actual opening, there's Milk with the Pinocchio nose and that friar haircut thing. You know, the bowl cut looking thing. If you see the preview, you'll see. But that's 3 looks from Milk. Okay, then there was Ben Delacreme, and Ben had like 5 outfits that I could count, and one of them was like that awesome beetle outfit that you see playing in the previews a lot, where she's marching down on all fours like a beetle, and you see it from head up this time when she's like listening to Trinity complain about something, and it's really stunning looking. So that's one outfit from Ben Delacreme. Of course, there was the outfit she won in, the one she hot glued together in a look couture. So that was the second outfit. And then there's a blue dress she wears with like fur lining, and you know, she has matching fur lining on her gloves and the fur hat. And she's in a room with Laganja and Courtney, and they're I guess playing that game where they guess the name of the queen that's on the card. And I don't know about you, but I'm thinking that's the final 3 right there. I'm thinking it's Laganja, Ben Delacreme, and Courtney, and they're like reminiscing on all the queens of the past, and they're doing that little game. I don't know, maybe that's the final 3. What do y'all think? There's also the look where Ben's wearing a black and white dress, and she looks very sophisticated, very simple, and she's crying about, you know, drag is her life. And so that was another look that you saw in that preview. And then there's one more. The 5th look that you see Ben in is like a red dress with like a red bow, and she's like, I am not going home. So that's the first feisty moment you see of Ben. I guess later on in the season she gets a little more feisty. So that was 5 looks from Ben Delacreme, so I'm thinking Ben goes very, very deep. Okay, and then there's Courtney Act. And Courtney Act, I counted 5 looks as well. There's, of course, that angel outfit with the wings. There's one where she's wearing like a fuchsia 2-piece bathing suit with the blonde updo. And that's the same look that she's wearing when she's in the room with Ben and Laganja, when I think it's the top 3. It's like almost like a Marie Antoinette hair. Then I think there's her first runway look where it looks like it's just a black bathing suit top. You don't see the rest of it, but you can see that she's like serving body, yaddy. Okay, there's another outfit you see. You can't really see much of it. You see like the blue crisscross straps. She's got like a blue something in her hair with her long straight blonde hair. But it's the moment where she's like trying to take a sip of her drink, and then she gasps at something that's said. So that's like another look you catch in that little clip. And she's also wearing big hoop earrings. And then there's that like the white showgirl / like Roxy Hart in Chicago style dress that's in that group shot with the 4 queens that I keep talking about hugging it out. I think that's Courtney Act giving Trinity a hug. But that's another distinct look you see from the Untucked episode. And it looked like she had like blonde pageant hair too. Okay, and then you see 5 distinct looks from Laganja, Estranja as well. So that's why I'm thinking those are like the 3 finalists, unless they're really tricking us. Okay, first you got Laganja's first runway look, which we've seen, which is like the, disco mirror ball inspired dress with the black neck piece and, black hair. And then there's like this circus candy dress looking thing when she has this big pink afro and she's like freaking out backstage saying how she can't do it. And then you see it later on in the little preview. But that's another look from Laganja. And then there's that outfit she's wearing when she's sitting in the room with Ben and Courtney Act, and it looks like something that freaking Magnolia Crawford would wear with like Magnolia Crawford blonde hair. And she's just being over the top as usual in that chair, but that's another distinct look. And then there's like this gospel-y, churchy looking gown that she's wearing with like super huge blonde hair. And she's talking about the did you or did you not come for me? And then, they cut to Bianca. But yeah, that's another distinct look from Laganja. And then there's that black gown that she's wearing when she's sitting in between Gia Gunn and Jocelyn Fox, when they're all wearing like gowns where Gia's like clocking Jocelyn's hair. So that's the 5th look from Laganja. So that's 5 distinct looks from Laganja, 5 distinct from Courtney, and 5 distinct from Ben de la Creme. I'm thinking that's our final 3. I could be wrong, but okay, Adore I think had 4 as well. I think Adore had 4 looks that you see. She's got, of course, her first Heatherette style runway look that was kind of a hot mess, according to the judges. There's another look where she's got like the Cruella de Vil half black, half white, long straight hair that sometimes you see like Manila Luzon rocking. And then there's a 3rd look where she's like an all white dress, all white, really cool, severe haircut wig. And then the 4th look I think is distinct is the scene where she's like crying. And you can't really see an outfit, but you see, she's crying. But I think that's a 4th look. So that's 4 I could probably count from Adore. And then Gia Gunn, you see 3. Of course, her first Kim Kardashian inspired, or her Keeping Up with the Kardashians inspired look. Then her, she's wearing like an 80s inspired look with like the big hair and getting all emotional about, this is the moment that counts. And then the last one is like I said earlier, the gown where she's clocking Jocelyn Fox or something. And that's 3 distinct looks from Gia. What you don't see though is you don't see much of Kelly Mantle for obvious reasons. You don't see much of Vivacious, but I heard that was because they were trying to throw us off because, they were in the bottom 2 and they were trying to purposely not show Vivacious clips so nobody would know who won between Vivacious and Kelly. You don't see much of April Carrion at all, besides her one look, and I'm thinking it's because she's more soft-spoken and not as cunty as the others, so she's not as interesting TV or something. You also don't see a lot of Magnolia Crawford, except for her first look, so I'm thinking maybe Magnolia goes home first in her group of 7 that's coming up next week. So those are the 4 queens you don't really see much of, but I mean, that's a whole lot of information that I kept playing and replaying, just so I can, get the scoop for you guys. But yeah, it was only like a minute and 33 seconds, and I was able to like divulge all that information from that minute and 33 seconds, including, at least, somewhat get a grasp of how far they're gonna make it just by counting how many different looks they had. So back to Untucked. We get to the actual episode. You see the 7 queens celebrating. They go into the workroom. They're partying it up. They got cupcakes, champagne, streamers, balloons, silly string. They're happy that they didn't get eliminated. They reminisce about Kelly. They see her note. And, they're like, just having a good time. And then they're like, let's leave a note for the next group of queens. Like, bitches beware. So they leave the note and lipstick in the mirror for the next set of queens. And then Mother RuPaul comes into the workroom, with her little face mask on, her mud mask, saying they're being all too loud, and, she's got guests coming, and it was just a funny little moment, because you hardly see RuPaul in drag in the workroom. I think that's the first time I've ever seen RuPaul in drag in the workroom. But anywho, then the 7 queens make their way to the Interior Illusions Lounge, and it's kind of cool, because you actually see them walking from the workroom through the whole production area to the Interior Illusions Lounge. Whew, can't say that word. But it's kind of cool. It's like you never see them walking, and I never knew that they had to walk through like the crew and the back sets and stuff. So it was a cool like behind the scenes look. And then they get to the Interior Illusions Lounge, and it's like funny. They're all reacting. You know, it's like, oh, we're here. Oh. And it's just so funny because Gia's like, oh, it's like I'm going to one of my giggies. I mean, I just love Gia. She's so everything. And then, of course, Laganja's the first one to speak, and she's like, you know, the cocktails are sitting there, and I guess they're not Absolute cocktails anymore. I guess they're not sponsored by Absolute, which sucks. But Laganja speaks up, and she's like, so how does everyone feel? And Adora's like, about what? As she's sipping her drink. So Laganja repeats her question. She goes, how do y'all feel? And then the rest of the room, it pans to like the rest of the room, and they're all sipping their drinks at Laganja, waiting for her to like clarify her question. And it's like either really funny editing or they really did that, but they're all just like sipping. Laganja's like, what the fuck? It was a really funny moment. I don't know if it was scripted or unscripted, but it was funny how she like, they're waiting for her to clarify, and they're all sipping on their drinks, like just staring at her. So then they launch into their spiel about how they did on the runway, who's safe, who's not, who's gonna lip sync, yada yada yada. And Laganja thinks she's in trouble because of her walk. You know, she kept tripping on her dress, and she was super nervous. And Kelly, of course, thinks she's going to be up there because they didn't like her bacon outfit. And Vivacious, because they clocked her outfit too. And then little Gia's just clocking everybody in the room, like subtly or in their face. But you know, that's Gia. She's clocking everybody in that room, and she's clocking them all in her behind the scenes interview too. And then they talk about, you know, voguing and Vivacious, and Vivacious does this like really weak rendition of a Vogue pose. And then they ask her to repeat it, and she does the same weak rendition of the Vogue pose, and Gia's like, whatever. And Gia does her Vogue, which is what we know of today, like high energy voguing, and she does a little duck walk, and Laganja's eating it up, and the room is whooping and hollering, and Vivacious is looking all stank face, I guess jealous because, you know, the younger crowds, you know, a little more showy, a little flashier. But I wasn't feeling Vivacious's little attempt at a Vogue pose. It's like the same pose she did on the runway. But it was also funny that one moment when Gia's like, besides drag, I think 50% of this competition is about personality. And it's the next scene is Kelly Mantle going, just like she can't even put into words what she wants to say about Gia Gunn in her like behind the scenes like testimony. But it was just too, oh man, the editing is like freaking fierce this go around. Like they're really, through the powers of editing, ramping up the drama, whether it's happening or not. But it's like, I could tell it's already gonna be a really funny season. And speaking of that editing, you see like April getting annoyed at Laganja about her antics, and then you see Laganja slurping on the straw, and then it pans to the rest of the room like observing her slurping the straw, or at least that's what the editing wants us to think. It's probably like a conversation, but like she's slurping on the straw, and everybody's just like looking at her, getting all turned off by her like lack of elegance or etiquette. But they're really gonna really edit the hell out of this season, and it's really funny so far. So let's skip ahead to the runway presentation. Like you see a little behind the scenes of the runway, like when they are praising Ben Delacreme's, you know, makeup and look, and they say it looks like Michelle Visage, and Michelle Visage like, oh, it's my firstborn. And Ben was worried at first. They didn't think that Michelle would like him, but yeah, they have an uncanny resemblance to the other, like on accident. And then of course throughout this whole Untucked, Gia is like reconfirming that she's going to be using her charisma to her advantage, and she is almost really playing up to the camera on all the scenes she's in, and even in the backstage interviews. Like Gia's not as dumb as she's playing. She knows that, you know, you need that charisma to get noticed, and for, you know, the audience and the people like down the line, you know, for business opportunities and appearance opportunities, that you have to be likable, approachable, relatable, and just funny. And she knows it, and she's playing up to the camera, she's hamming it up, and she's very smart. And then you see that Laganja is getting a lot of screen time this whole Untucked episode, and during like the testimonials and when she's not like in full Laganja mode, she's actually quite down to earth and relatable, and I'm hoping that shines through later on, and it's just not going to be that over the top personality that seems to be trying too hard. because I like Laganja and I really want Laganja to get far, but that personality can really get old really fast. But it's really funny when Laganja's saying how she's not shady, and then like it cuts to April Carrion's like testimonial, and she's like, Laganja is shadier than a palm tree. Oh, another funny part of the Untucked is when they actually see the first photo shoot. They all get to see each other's photos. They're clocking each other, reading each other. You know, it's all in good fun. They're saying, and it's funny. It's like Gia finally gets clocked by Laganja, saying like, you know, not the best pose in the world. And then you get to Gia's testimonial, and she's like, I don't necessarily think that I was killing this photo shoot, but I don't think I killed it either, if that makes sense. And it took me about an hour to try to make sense of it, and I think I finally sort of did. Then they talk about a door falling off the stool when RuPaul's shemale appears on the screen, and that inevitably leads to talk about parents and their support, and that leads to a lot of crying moments because Gia's talking about how drag has strained the relationship between Gia and his mom, and then, you know, Laganja's crying because it turns out that his mom, who used to be his best friend, is not understanding of his drag lifestyle and thinks he could be doing more, and they want more for him, and they think drag is a lesser, you know, career choice, and they don't understand that it's an art form. And, you know, it's just a lot of crying, and the girls hug it out and they get closer together. You know, they always have to have that poignant scene where something makes them cry. Oh, but okay, so I really just wanted to gloss over Untucked, and I'm sorry it took so long in that little part, because the best part of Untucked was getting to watch the preview for next Monday's episode, where the next 7 queens come in, because it's a fierce group, and the next 7 is gonna be fierce. So you see Bianca Del Rio walk in first, and I love Bianca. Like, as far as who I think is going to go far and who I actually really like, they're 2 different lists, but who I really, really like this season, like, really like, is Adore Delano, Bianca Del Rio, Gia Gunn, and to some extent, like, you know, Courtney Act and stuff like that. But, like, I really like them as far as their personalities and their talent. I'm not sure how far each are going to go, but they're my favorites. But Bianca, I mean, besides Adore, she's like my top 2. I love Bianca Del Rio. Like, I love that she's an insult comic, that she's a different mold from the other drag queens. I love her makeup, like what she does with her makeup. And I just think Bianca's a really hardworking person in and out of drag. And that's why I really appreciate Bianca Del Rio. But she comes in first. She's like, bitches, I hope you're ready. And she looks around and there's nobody in there, because of course she's the first one to show up. And she's like, oh, a drag queen being early, that never fucking happens. And you can already tell she's got like a freaking acid tongue, and she's gonna like lay it on everybody. And she notices the party, or the remnants of the party, on the table. So she's sitting there waiting, and then Trinity comes in next, looking beat to the gods, like looking freaking like perfection when she walks in. And you're like, uh-oh, it's like another Mariah, like totally like fishy, totally ball scene, totally, you know, put together. And, you know, Bianca's, you know, polite, you know, saying hi. And it's just funny is they have an awkward moment. They don't really talk to each other. Like, you know, they just sit there like waiting for the next queen. And Bianca's like, I had a dear friend that was just like her back in New Orleans. She's dead. And then Jocelyn Fox comes in. Okay, so I've been super critical of Jocelyn Fox on my first impressions video and a little bit in this video, but when Jocelyn Fox walks in and then you just see that airheaded personality, it's actually quite endearing. And I'm going to take back all those mean things. I didn't really say mean things, but kind of mean things I said, because I see Jocelyn's, like, her personality now. I see the character she plays, and it's actually an extension of who Jocelyn is as a boy too. And Jocelyn's I think she's gonna grow on some people, because she's actually quite charming and endearing. But it's funny when, like, she first walks in and Bianca's giving her the stank face, like she gives I think that's why they let Bianca come in first, because they wanted her to read every single queen as they walked in. But like she saw all the jewelry that Jocelyn was wearing, and Bianca's like, it looks like she went to Claire's boutique, fell over into the sale rack, and said, "I'll take it." Saying she's like wore every piece of jewelry she ever owns in one outfit. And of course, Milk walks in, and she's like a freaking giraffe. Like, I think her legs alone are taller than Gia. Like, she comes in her like matador gaucho outfit with her fake gap and toilet paper coming from her heel, and she's just campy. She's funny. She knows what drag is. It's a show. It's entertainment, and she doesn't take it too serious. And it was funny, she saw Bianca, and she commented Bianca's, eyelashes and New York queens, and she's like, we're all a bunch of clowns, aren't we? Which is something Bianca says in, if you watch, I'll link it, the YouTube video where it's about the queens of New York City. It's like a little docu-series. But I think it was a reference to that, and then it like pans to Trinity, and she's like, no. Because, she's high fashion, ball scene, not campy. Magnolia Crawford comes in very campy as well, with the most contoured nose makeup I have ever seen on a drag queen. It's so contoured. Like, Milk even notices it. She's like, look at that nose. And it's like, Milk behind the scenes like, what are you, like, just saying, like, Magnolia, what were you pointing at? Referring to the nose. And then Bianca is like, I thought it was a goddamn swordfish. And saying that Magnolia could probably turn pages in a book with her nose. But Bianca is freaking classic. And then Courtney Act walks in, of course, looking beautiful, going, is this America's Next Top Model? Blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, never mind, turns around and runs out the room. And Bianca gets a chuckle out of it. But Courtney comes in, she's sweet. And I hope she gets a little catty and mixes it up, because she's so put together and polished and sweet. I like to see her, get a little catty with the rest of the queens. And of course, Jocelyn Fox is starstruck because she's heard of Courtney Act and she's a big fan. So, that's going to be a cool dynamic, I guess. And then the last to enter is Darian Lake. And before she even enters the workroom, like, I don't know if they edit it to sound like big hoof stomping, or like that's how heavy footed she walks. But like, Bianca Del Rio, you could hear her saying, here comes the Clydesdales. And I was like, damn! Read even before you walk into the room. That's how good she is. Darian Lake comes in all full of energy, all, campy, just, full of life. Like, some of the big girls always are. They're full of life. And she's also full of a lot of sexual innuendos. She just kept throwing them out left and right. And, she's going to probably be a force to reckon with, because she's very over the top and dramatic, and she's going to be doing really good in the comedy challenges and acting. I can already tell. And anybody that's Pandora Box's drag mother is probably going to be, killing it in comedy challenges. And then the 7 queens are there, and they're all like trying to figure out why the hell there's crap on the table and what the note on the mirror means. And then RuPaul appears on the she-mail, and she unveils the twist to this second group of 7, and how one person has already gone home, and all their mouths are hanging open, even Bianca, and she's like, just like Ru. I knew Ru would throw all kinds of shady twists at us. And then the 10-minute preview ends. That was my review of the rest of episode 1, my review of Untucked, my little tidbits from the Untucked opening trailer thing, trying to give y'all a little bit of inside scoop so y'all don't have to do the pausing and rewatching and pausing and trying to get all the little notes. And also a little preview of the next 10 minutes of episode 2. And from what I can tell, episode 2 is going to be fun fucking tabulous. And I cannot wait for the 2 groups to converge. It's like Survivor already. The first group of 7 already got a little tight, and I know the second group's going to be tight. And it's going to be like 2 tribes, It's going to be like Survivor, and they're going to go or something. And several queens already mentioned that fact. So I cannot wait for episode 2 next Monday, 8 Central on Logo or Out TV. Also, if you have the Logo TV app on your iOS devices, you can watch it like the next day for free. So that's pretty cool. Just go to Logo TV's website and you can watch the episode the next day, I believe. So that's my review, and I'll come back at you for episode 2. And don't forget, rate, subscribe, leave comments. Tell me what you thought about the first episode, and tell me what you think about the next episode. And I will catch y'all later.